Joining us now, two attorneys general who've led the charge against Obamacare and were present in the court for this week's Supreme Court arguments, and their states among the 26 challenging the health care law's constitutionality. The Attorney General of the great state of Texas, Greg Abbott. Also joining us, John Bruning, Attorney General of the great state of Nebraska. We thank you both for being here, and I have to say at the outset that this Supreme Court is restoring my faith, at least in a third of our government. It is, to me, rewarding to watch 9 very smart people conduct themselves so articulately, so intelligently, and with, irrespective of the ideology represented, they're doing so with great, I just think, great style, and it's I don't know, I hate to be corny about it, but it does restore my faith in this institution, the Supreme Court. Let me turn to you first, Attorney General Abbott. Your thoughts, is the individual mandate, as so many pundits are suggesting, do you believe the court is going to strike it down?
You know, Lou, after the argument yesterday, which was the second day, when you listen to the questions coming from the justices, they were making the precise points that we have been making for the past 2 years, and that led me to believe after yesterday that they were going to strike down the Obamacare individual mandate. But after today, after you saw the further comments from the justices on the bench, it really confirmed the thoughts I had yesterday. So I leave Washington feeling more confident than before that this mandate actually will be stricken down and that sensibility will be restored to the Constitution.
John Bruning, do you agree with Greg Abbott?
It was a great week for the Constitution. For those of us that believe in federalism and think that there have to be a federal government limited to specific enumerated powers, everything else to the states, this was a great week. And I think you put it well. These are 9 people that are trying very hard to interpret the Constitution to the best of their ability. But I feel strongly that we're going to win this case based on what I saw this week.
Watching the performance of the Solicitor General, the Deputy Solicitor General, perhaps we shouldn't sully the moment by pointing this out, but I was astonished that the 2 lawyers for the administration, for the government in this case, performed in such a way that even the justices were annoyed with them.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal on that, Lou. I got 2 explanations for it. Right. One is that if you look at kind of the common thought around the Beltway in Washington and maybe around pundits across the country, everyone took this case for granted. They may not have taken it as seriously as they should, but the second point is I think that the Solicitor General had the harder argument to make. It was tough defending this unprecedented mandate, and of course there was strong pushback from the court for which he was ill-prepared to respond because there is no adequate response to it.
And let me turn, John Bruning, to the issue of severability. Will there be, give us your best outlook on what will happen. Will the individual mandate be struck down? Not only will it be struck down, will the entire law be struck down with it? Or will there be, as Justice Ginsburg suggests, a salvage job here? And your thoughts on Medicaid?
Well, the state's position is that if the mandate falls, the whole law has to fall. And I think what you saw today was the justices grappling with the idea that if the mandate falls, which parts of the remaining law are they going to keep? And who's going to decide that? Are they going to give it to their law clerks? Are they going to have their law clerks, they joked, read all 2,700 pages, even though that's cruel and unusual punishment, as Justice Scalia and Justice Roberts joked? Right. I think they understand there's no mechanism for the court to decide which of the rest should stand, so they ought to let it all fall, which is our state position, and then Congress can pick up the pieces.
So you think then the Supreme Court has found that persuasive, Greg Abbott?
Absolutely. We think that the whole thing will fall because, as General Bruning was pointing out, it's tough for them to be able to piece this back together and pick and choose which parts to live on. That really is the role of a legislature. That's really policy making. We think that they're going to strike down the individual mandate, and when that falls, the rest of it should fall.
Does the fact that there is so much conflict in the bill, a very narrow expression of the popular will it play any part in these justices' thinking? That is, we have a situation in which a Republican turned Democrat provided the 60th vote in the Senate in order to pass Obamacare. That not a single Republican supported Obamacare in the House of Representatives. Will that play a part in their thinking? The fact that 26 states a majority of the states are suing to have this thing ruled unconstitutional.
I think it matters, and it looks quite powerful that we have more than half of the states of this country suing. But the reality is the justices are going to make their decision based upon their interpretation and application of the Constitution to this law. It does help, however, the fact that a majority of Americans not only believe that Obamacare is wrong, a majority of Americans believe that it is unconstitutional. So at least the justices will have the comfort of knowing they're not striking down a very popular law.
John Bernie, you get the last word, Attorney General Bernie.
Interestingly, on that 60th vote, they're not unaware of the politics. Justice Scalia mentioned that the Cornhusker kickback was a part of this law. They're very aware of how this law was passed, but I think General Abbott's right. They're going to interpret the law in the Constitution, and the noise that happened over in the legislative process, that won't be part of their decision process. They're going to do it based on the Constitution.
Well, I have one thought as we conclude here. I doubt there will be Solicitor Generals or any other attorney take any case for granted before a Supreme Court after these 3 days. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We appreciate it. Attorney
Thank you, Lou.
General.
Thank you, Lou.
Up next, there's been a Salazar